It seems obvious to me that if I intend to present my unique perspective, I should provide a little background as to who I am, a little context. I don't intend to be the subject of our discussion, and I don't want to be the star of the show. Rather, I am hoping to build a relationship with my audience and maybe establish some rapport. I believe logically that this should start at the beginning of my own journey. As a child, I was raised mostly by a good woman, my mother, and I didn't have a good masculine role model growing up. This often left me feeling unmoored. I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by strong men later in life, but as a boy, I found myself unknowingly pondering the call of my ancestors. I was looking for guidance. I was looking for direction. I was searching for masculinity. I craved belonging. I craved discipline. And I needed tradition. At the time, I was enamored by knights, magic, and high adventure. I was what you would call an introvert, but you would probably just call me a nerd. And I escaped from life into stories and movies like Excalibur, The Lord of the Rings, and Conan. I was interested in fantasy role-playing games, though I didn't have the opportunity or resources to explore this very often. In public, of course, I was embarrassed by all of it. So I learned to hide that part of myself from the world. But I was hungry for what I would later come to understand is the Western tradition. A tradition that has been kept from us and disparaged by people who thrive on envy and have a deep-rooted lust for power. I've come to understand that this hunger for adventure, the yearning to be strong, to be stoic, to be courageous in the face of fear, was in fact encoded into my DNA. And if I look back on my life with any sense of integrity, I can say honestly that when I felt ashamed of myself, or when I possessed a ruinous lack of self-esteem, it was when I wasn't living up to that tradition, the standards that, in my heart, I knew to be good and true. I refer to that yearning as the calling. And as I got older, I began to answer. Throughout my younger educational years, I would be picked on and bullied, and I wrongly believed I was a victim. I would escape the torment back into my sketches and drawings of rounds, runes, and swords, and I finally understood that I didn't belong here. I often thought maybe I was born in the wrong century. I can realize now that the calling inside of me prevented me from drinking the poison of modernity. It prevented me from conforming. I never fit in, and that's something I'm supremely grateful for. I had a strong draw to my ancestors, and I craved my tradition. The men through my life at that time were either hostile towards me or didn't care to nurture me. All they wanted was to see me grow up, move out, and occupy my very own slice of slavery in a cubicle somewhere in corporate hell. The kind of path that would allow them to take credit for any achievements I made, if I had made any at all. The only success they wanted for me was the same success that was prescribed to them, and for the same reasons. But I couldn't live that way, and against everyone's advice and frankly their expectations, I joined the military and pursued the path of a warrior. At this time, I was skinny, I was weak, and I was timid. And something that hurt the most was that girls wouldn't even look at me. I was invisible to them. And I began to fear that I would never have a family to call my own. I learned quickly that the conventional military, at that time, was just like the rest of the world. They knew about as much of the warrior as any other corporate employee. They simply followed orders for a paycheck and liked to regurgitate big words that, coming from them, felt more like marketing slogans rather than a true expression of who they were. I wasn't impressed. But not everybody in the military was like that. There were still warriors. There were still men. And with some initiative, I found them. I found a wolf pack. I found the war band. And I could join them, but only if they would accept me. Taking stock of where I was at this point in my life, I didn't understand what strength really was. I only had a rudimentary understanding of courage thus far. And my understanding of principles and values were weakened by the slave morality of Christian and Judeo-Christian world thought. And I don't mean that as an insult. Those are the types of discussions I'd like to have in the future. And just like most young men in the West, I was a mess. However, in that moment, I understood something. I understood something I couldn't articulate at the time. I had a choice. I had to choose to either stay comfortably in place and hope the world would give me what I wanted, or summon the willpower to suffer and sacrifice so I could earn the chance to run with the wolves and hunt. The choice was easy. The suffering was not. I would spend the rest of my military career running with the wolf pack, learning the lessons I had never received from a father. I would continue to climb the ladders of success and spent most of my formative adult years in combat. Slowly and painfully, the world of my childhood, the world of safety and comfort, was being replaced by the real world of consequences, the world of men. I learned by doing. I gained wisdom through painful trial and error. I was no longer fantasizing. I was practicing. It was painful, but I endured. I suffered, but I learned. I was now dealing with the real world. I adapted to reality. I grew up. I came to embrace struggle and sacrifice. I wasn't afraid to believe what was in my heart. I wasn't afraid to be who I was. I wasn't ashamed of myself anymore. Now, I had accomplishments of my own. It was at this point in my life that I came to understand and find courage within myself. And it was on the battlefield that I could finally see the spirit world. I could see the gods. and they were with me all along. This project has always been personal. It is a record of what I've learned, what I'm still learning, and what I believe is worth preserving. It is a living will and testament for my own son, in my own voice, for him to share with his children long after I'm gone. You, the audience, have been welcome to walk alongside this work, not as spectators, but as witnesses, to observe the process and to take from it what is useful. And to those of you who return, who engage, who understand this is more than something to consume, this is for you. This is what you need to know. The pursuit of historical accuracy is admirable. After all, high standards are a hallmark of our civilization, and we should commend the work of historians and reconstructionists who deserve our respect. But accuracy alone isn't enough. If we lose sight of the forest for the trees, we mistake knowledge for wisdom. Accuracy, tradition, and standards only matter when they are lived, tested, and carried forward beyond theory. That has always been the purpose here. Not as a performance, not as a platform, but as a path. From our ancestors to our descendants, the path of kings. Now, understand this as well. The digital noose is tightening. I know you can feel it. You don't need me to convince you. If this channel is ever taken down, don't panic, don't scatter. I'm asking you to follow me on Twitter, not because I spend my time there, but because that is where the trail will be marked. That is where I will point you to whatever comes next. I may wait a day or two, but I will post the backup locations there. This channel is not running out of material. I have dozens and dozens of scripts already written, work that simply hasn't been recorded yet. There will be more of this. But the mission does not end because a platform closes its doors. It continues, quietly, deliberately, in a new location that is not yet public. And understand this too, we are already growing. Not loudly, not publicly, but offline, underground. Messages are being exchanged, hands are being shaken, groups are forming beyond the reach of algorithms in terms of service. That is the work that matters. We must exist in the real world. I will continue to place beacons for as long as I am able. But remember this, as far as the tribe is concerned, the Fulfilla project is not the destination. It is a signal fire, a call to other men of the warband, so that together we may shape a world worthy of our sons and daughters. Until next time.